We're back! You're about to unwind with another episode of The Space. Every day we turn mindfulness on its head with a no BS approach to dealing with life's bad days. In the previous episode, we talked about getting hungry for feedback. We explored how to accept constructive criticism without feeling like a total failure. Tonight we're staying in the workplace. This time we're tackling a different problem. Hey, but what about my dickhead boss? This is actually a chapter heading from a new book, The Resilient Shield, by 3 former SAS veterans, Dr. Dan Pronk, Ben Pronk, and Tim Curtis. They transfer the skills they learn as soldiers to everyday situations, like your home life or your office. So, what about your dickhead boss? In the book, they lay out an all too common scenario. There will be many times you have no alternative but to work for someone you don't particularly like or respect. Difficult bosses can cause you to feel disgruntled, demotivated, and devalued, they say. But there is good news. There are 2 things we can learn from dealing with dark leaders, as they call them. This is where we want to insert our own disclaimer. There are some toxic workplace situations which are impossible to navigate. If your boss is damaging your mental health or physical health, then seek help and, if necessary, get out. Okay, where were we? Yes. Dickhead bosses and how to handle them. Lesson 1. You are in charge of your own destiny. This is also known as the locus of control. It refers to how much we think we're in the driving seat of what happens in our life. Sure, your boss may well be a dickhead, but don't give them too much responsibility for your work well-being. It can make us feel better in the short term to blame our unhappiness on an external source, aka that dickhead. But it also gives us a feeling of helplessness and vulnerability. If you have a dickhead boss, you're going to need patience and tolerance. But it's also important to take responsibility for your actions. You can't change them. So what can you change? Can you look for another mentor? Can you take up a new hobby or practice mindfulness? The space. Explore ways to better cope with your stress levels. Take steps to plan your career path out of there if it's unbearable. Lesson 2. Understand the art of managing up. This is the second lesson explored in the book. Think of your dickhead boss as a very difficult but important customer. What do they care about? What are their key issues? How can you help to solve them? We know you're annoyed with them, you don't want to pander to them, but take it as a personal challenge, something you can explore on your own and get satisfaction from. Remember, you can learn as much from a bad leader as you can from a good one. And if all else fails, have the courageous conversation, they say. You know the one you're dreading. Where you have to get over their head or really assert your own emotional boundaries. Trust that you know when you need to go there. Until then, take charge of your destiny. Take responsibility for your happiness and your career path. Feel proud of yourself for managing that dickhead. If you don't like the word dickhead, well, we're sorry you stumbled into the wrong episode. Tomorrow, in the interest of gender equality, we're talking about clit heads. Jokes. Well, unless you want us to. I'm Casey Donovan, and you've been listening to The Space, a podcast written by Amy Malloy. We're back tomorrow to give your Tuesday an emotional leg up. In the meantime, give us a follow at @the space_podcast. Space out.